What's up, everyone? Welcome to Three Chicks in a Pod. I am Megan Price. I got Jen Matthews Lewis to my right, and then I got the birthday girl down below me, Kari Johnson, and then I have Candy in the corner over there. How are you ladies doing?
Great. How are you today?
I'm doing really
I'm doing
well.
great. Thanks for asking.
How's your birthday been?
Well, you get to a point in life that your birthday is a day that you get to celebrate, but you also get to be an adult. So that's kind of where I am in my life. But it's been a great day. I've had a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, this year my birthday was in the middle of the week. It was Wednesday, so I was like, well, I worked. I had fun that weekend though because I went to Miami.
Well, I've got dinner plans tomorrow night and this weekend. So, that's the important part. That's the fun part, is seeing family and friends.
So what are you having for dinner tomorrow night?
My son has asked for us to meet him at Texas Roadhouse. So it's been a hot minute since I've been there. So I'm not sure. I have been advised to make sure I get at least one roll.
Right.
Yes. Do you mean, let me edit that statement. You get one basket of rolls for yourself.
Yes.
Oh, I see. We'll play it that way.
And then the boys can just stare lustfully.
I love it.
All the rules.
I love it.
There are no rules when you're on your birthday and celebrating your birthday. Throw them all out the window.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I think we want to start the show off.
I'm mean to you, so we're gonna mute you because you can't mock me that way.
Right. Oh my gosh. Don't mock our singing.
Do not mock our singing, people.
Nope.
Jahan's being nice. All right, you ready?
Yes. Okay. Start us off.
2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Harry. Happy birthday to you. Okay, doing this on StreamYard, we have no unison going.
Right. I think our internet.
That's awesome. Oh, that is so awesome. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. We just humiliated ourselves live.
Exactly.
Just for all of us, so it works.
Okay, so jumping into our topics, we got several for y'all tonight, and a couple of them are kind of heavy. So, Kari, start us off.
Right. I'm going to start off, and I just want to say, first of all, Willie Gay, he's got a 4-game suspension effective immediately. So it takes place while we're visiting the Colts, Bucks, Raiders, and then ending with the Bills. This is because it was a year ago, he pled guilty to a misdemeanor of property damage of a vacuum. And that's what's happened, right?
Right.
My concern and my thing that I would like the NFL to take a step back and look at. I realize that comparing apples and oranges, his was a criminal case, and Watson's is a civil multiple case. But if you're looking at things, Watson was originally suggested for just a 6-day suspension as opposed to what is now 11-day. It does not, or 11-game, sorry. It does not look good. It's not a good look that someone that broke a vacuum has 4 games. We have a Bills player that gets a game for hitting a coach in the head. You've got all these things, and it doesn't. There's a lack of visual equality or understanding across the board. And I wish they would come out with a more transparent way. And I think that it's a bad look for the NFL right now. Willie Gay was a knucklehead. He deserves suspension because he had to plead guilty to a misdemeanor. I wonder I wonder if 4 games, that vacuum was really worth 4 games. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
Well, no, I kind of want to chime in a little bit on this too. Also, because I had somebody on my team that we had a couple people. The Cowboys, they like to get fined here and there. Last season, it was CD Lamb. He was getting fined for the dress code, having his jersey untucked, and then at the beginning of Zeke's career, he got in trouble a few times. He ended up serving a 6-game suspension. Was never really had a problem with the fines or the suspensions. Just make sure that it's across the board, that everybody has to get the same thing, because the very same week that CD was fined his second time for his jersey being untucked, we played the Atlanta Falcons, and nobody on the Atlanta Falcons tucks their jersey in. Not Matt Ryan at the time, not nobody. So I just felt like if you're going to enforce it, which is fine, those are the rules, then enforce it for everybody equally across the board. So that was my little chime in on that topic.
And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know you had to tuck in your jersey. Just saying.
You do.
Your next step is wearing a tie on the field, but
your pants can't be too short. There was a kicker that was just fine for that. So they do enforce their uniform policy, and that's fine as long as it's for everybody, not just whoever.
Exactly. And it's not ever equal. And here's the thing, like, I get that it's a criminal investigation, but with Hart and Buffalo going to go attack a Titans player, being held back by another coach, and then ending up punching the Titans coach. If the Titans coach decides to press charges, is that 1-game suspension going to be worth more?
Right.
We also have to bring in Mike Evans because he was suspended the game too for his, little on the field brawl, or push and shove and hit. So it's going around. A lot of teams
right. And I mean, how many times are you going to let Mike Evans do this? Because this was not his first occasion of doing this. So now he gets a 1-game suspension. What did he get before? Did he get fined before? Was there any repercussions the other times that this happened?
Well, and this was just listening while I was working this morning, but it's 3 games and it's always been against Lattimore. So your 1-game suspension and your fine is not working. It's not changing the behavior. So if you're going to change behavior, we haven't reached that threshold yet.
Right. I agree. I absolutely agree. Okay, guys. Well, obviously we're not the head of the NFL, so we can't change that, but we just wanted to highlight. I saw there's a comment that says Mike Evans shouldn't be suspended, but I don't know. I think that he should, personally. And if it doesn't change after this, then it needs to be moved to something else.
Here's the thing. Lattimore seemingly, like from the video clips I saw of the brawl, seemingly put hands on Brady after a play was dead. Like when they were both standing up and they were walking past.
And I get that. But if it wasn't Mike Evans,
no, I'm not saying
it wasn't his first one. It'd be different if it was his first time and he was defending his quarterback, because at the time, y'all remember when Andy Dalton got
I'm saying Lattimore should be in trouble too. I'm saying Lattimore should be suspended.
I agree.
That's what.
But you remember when Andy Dalton got a concussion? He got hit so hard after the play was dead or something like that. And there was not one Cowboy that was ready to stand up for him. Like, I would have wanted somebody to stand up for my QB. And so, like, I understand where Mike Evans is coming from on that. But also, like I said before, this isn't his first altercation. This isn't his first instance. So we're going to go ahead and move over to another topic, hot topic at that. And it's a little spicy. So if you guys are a little sensitive, this may not be the one you want to chime in on. But Suns and Mercury owner Sarver was given out. The NBA finished their investigations, and they levied out a $10 million suspended for 1 year. So this is, they were talking about he created a misogynistic, unsafe work environment, and also several different instances where he was quoted as using racist rhetoric. So specifically, yes, on way more than one occasion. That's what I want to say. So on way more than one occasion, there was instances with players. There was instances with assistant coaches. He talked about his sex life with his wife, and I'm assuming other women. I mean, just made a really hostile work environment. And with this, there is so much proof with this that I'm not understanding why it hasn't reached another level coming down from the NBA. Now, PayPal has said that they will pull their sponsorship if he is allowed back to in the facility after the suspension. So it looks like it's still a developing story. The VP is pushing as well to have him not there either.
And I'm probably going to say his name wrong. It's Jahan Najavi. He's the second largest owner of the two teams as well. He's already wrote a letter to all of the team employees calling for resignation. Chris Paul has jumped in on this and said that he demands this. And not only was Sarver making these sexual comments, according to the NPR article I read, he engaged in inappropriate sexual contact as well.
Right.
So there was physical and then description of physical appearance of women, as well as using the inflammatory word, multiple times in describing people that work for or in his organization. This is not even close to being something that should be condoned. He should not be making any more money off this. According to that article, his 35% of the stock owned valued around $630 million. And I think that needs to be addressed. I think that somebody needs to buy that out. I have $6.30. Does anyone else want to pitch in with me?
You've got about 300 more than I do. Candy, you're up. How much cash you got, baby?
Oh, not that much. But,
Right.
I mean, they interviewed 320 people. They have 80,000 documents that they're going through. Like, this isn't a one-time or one email thing. This is like on over an 18-year period. This can't be tolerated.
Right. So, yeah, and here's the thing. Draymond has requested on his podcast today that the NBA owners take a vote to ban him. Draymond and Megan, thank you for telling me this before the show, was one of the recipients of one of his Sarver's racial tirades. And
he basically said that if Draymond can use the word, why can't he use the word, or his player use the word? And I just want to preface this by saying, like, this is definitely, like, this was just the most recent incident. This was not
right.
This is the incident that caused the investigation. Like, this has been going on. The articles that I read since like 2004.
Well, and here's the deal: Silver kicked Sterling out of the NBA completely for making racial comments in private to his girlfriend. In private, never directed towards the player, but he was booted out. He had to sell his the Clippers, and I mean, fair is fair. Again, NBA and NFL have to make it fair across the board.
Right.
Well, I think this is at the tip of a media storm. Stephen A., I know that you either like him or you don't. He makes me laugh. He's a very passionate man, but he spoke about it and he said, we're not making a big enough story about this. And this was on the end of last week. And he said, I promise you, trust and believe, basically, that there's more coming. And I think of all of these past NBA players that have all of this influence and things. I really expect, hope that these men come forward and say, listen, this is the integrity of our league that is being challenged. And this needs to be fixed. It needs to be mandated. I mean, it just has to be.
Well, I mean, if there's a code of conduct for the players, why isn't there one for owners as well?
And there should be.
And I use this example on Sports Arena the other night. Now, if you, for example, Kari, if you want to buy a Domino's, if you want to be a part of a franchise, you buy your own Domino's, right? You still have to do what Domino's says to a certain degree. Like they still have things in place. place that you still have to go by in order to carry the company's name. So why isn't the NBA coming in and saying, hey, if you're not going to go by this, you can't own a team? It does. I realize it's a capitalist thing, and you can spend your money how you want, but you can't buy into the league. You won't be allowed to stay into the league if you don't follow these guidelines. Like, yes, you can be an owner. Yes, you can make the money off of this, but you still have to go by our guidelines because you're still playing in the NBA.
Right. You're carrying our logo.
Right.
You have our logo.
Do y'all remember when this happened with Mark Cuban, when he got in trouble for what was going on in the Mavericks? And they said that also he had a hostile, misogynistic work environment there in his front office. Remember this. But they could not ever tie Mark Cuban to it, that he actually had knowledge of what was going on. And so he was allowed to keep his team. He paid a hefty fine. He was not suspended, but he paid a very hefty fine, and he had to do a lot of social work there in that community. And so, but with this is completely different. Like what Candy was talking about, the amount of evidence and people that they have involved in this investigation. So why is it, that's the big question mark, I think. Why is it the NBA is not willing to go further with this punishment than this?
And Cuban was actively helping with the investigation.
Right. Hold on. So Sarver cooperated. I will say that Sarver cooperated, but I think that just goes to show that his mind frame, that he sees nothing wrong with this.
But here's the thing, and I'm sorry, I have friends in the Phoenix area, but that's a lot of the Phoenix mindset too. Like we saw what happened after 2020 in Phoenix specifically. Like after that election, like we've known what's gone on. We know that people of color under the previous sheriff were pulled at alarmingly higher rates on the road than Caucasians.
Right.
We know it. And if you were Hispanic in that area, you were boned under that last sheriff's administration. And I'm going back to like 2015 and before. And it's not right. It's not good ever. But then you also look, I'm going to go here. Like Jerry Richardson wanted to help with the investigation into what he allegedly did, but he didn't want to tarnish the Panthers. So he sold the team.
Right.
But then you look at Dan Snyder. He still owns the team. You look at the allegations against your owner. Sorry, Megan, love you. Nothing's happened to him. Cheerleaders.
Right.
How many lives and it's not fair. It has to be even across the board.
And see, that's
Candy,
where.
You have any more thoughts on this?
Oh, sorry.
I hate to say this, but I think we need to hold all of them, NFL, NBA, MLB, almost to a higher standard, because let's face it, all the young kids look up to all these people, and all this is happening. Like you talk, no offense, but a Domino's owner, most people don't know who a franchise owner is of Domino's, but who NBA and NFL, and you got to hold them to a higher standard, but the same standard.
Right.
And nod, wink, nod.
I get that, because Jerry's never going to be held accountable for the type of things that he does, and he, to me, seems like the type of owner that would have got, when all this came out with Dan Snyder, I said, oh man, just wait, my owner might get in trouble too, because it just seems like he creates that type of work environment just by the conversations he holds.
Right.
So I completely know what you're saying, but he owns the richest sports franchise in the world. He's not going to have the same set of rules as somebody else, which is not right. Absolutely not right.
Mm-hmm. It's Teflon there. I look at it, and the people that we're talking about that have these images that they are putting forth in this owners, you're looking at older white men. Mm-hmm. What might have been okay, or you could get away with in the 50s, 60s, and 70s is no longer okay.
Right.
So granted, they may have run businesses and been in environments that was okay, and it was accepted, and it was a nomenclature. Whether or not because, I remember when it became a big deal in the workforce, because I worked pre that, and was many times in a very uncomfortable position. And then I worked post it. So that whole lot, when it came through that the sexual misconduct in the workplace became a real valuable issue that people were willing to take a part on, it changed how comfortable it was for me in the environment. It has to be that people felt when you were working, if you worked during that period, you felt a change. Yeah, I think that you're seeing these men that are set in their ways that wasp blind thinking, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, that what they do is right and no one can tell them they're wrong. And that has to go away.
Right.
I think it's more when you have power, you always want more power. And no commentary, please. And you want, and like Dan Snyder's only 57.
Right.
He's not that old. So
he's just a few years older than me.
You also got to look at Robert Kraft also.
I was going to say Robert Kraft.
I mean, Robert Kraft, I know he was just, the young lady was willing, supposedly, but yeah, he never really faced any repercussions.
No, it's that wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah.
Right. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're going to move on from this, but just know that it's still a developing story. So as more happens, I'm sure we'll touch back on it. And we do have some Title IX stuff going on that we'll probably be talking about next week, and just kind of might even tie that in too. So, but for something happy, we saw on Sunday, the Las Vegas Aces win the WNBA championship. They won in Connecticut, and I just want to shout this out first because are all of y'all on Twitter? Have any of y'all seen how up in arms Twitter is about Mark Davis being there celebrating with his team instead of being with the Raiders, because it was on Sunday, and the Raiders lost. And it just bothers everybody on Twitter that Mark Davis was there celebrating with his championship team, and I'm just here for it. I love it. I love it too. I love it. And like when he brought Becky Hammond in, like she is the highest paid coach in the WNBA, right? And there was some people talking about it. There were some coaches that commented. There was Liz Cambage made a comment talking about how much Becky was making, and Mark kind of stepped in and was like, he wished that he could pay his ladies more. That according to the CBA, he can't do that, but what he could do was pay his coach what she was worth, and obviously she proved that she was worth it. Becky was undrafted in '99, I believe. She went to Colorado State University and was actually undrafted in '99, correct. And then she played for the New York Liberty from '99 to 2006. She was a part of that team that went to the finals 3 times in a row, but got knocked out every time by the Comets. So this is actually her very first championship. She started working for the Spurs and as an assistant coach in 2014. Hey, Damon, in 2014, but she was not a part of that championship team. The championship team was the 13-14 team, and she joined the team in the 14-15 season. So now she did win the Summer League championship, but obviously this is her first real championship after being in basketball her entire life. So just love what she's done. And I love that she gave a shout out to Bill Laimbeer too, because Bill Laimbeer absolutely built that team. And he is a 3-time champion himself with the Detroit Shock. And all those players, Jackie Young loves some Bill Laimbeer, Asia, like he has such a good rapport with those ladies. And I think what I like that Bill brought to them was toughness. You know what he was known for when he was in the NBA. Like he was just one of those tough guys, and he threw elbows and he fought. And I think that was and him ending up coaching women, I think was just not ironic, but just almost storybook. And so for Becky to kind of shout him out as well. I think he put a lot of work into this. And, congratulations to the Vegas Aces. They have been celebrating for a couple of days now. If you haven't had a chance to check out Asia Wilson's Twitter, it's hilarious.
I have to say that Becky Hammon is one cool cucumber under any kind of pressure.
Yes.
Right.
I have seen her with minimal emotions, and I'm like, in situations that either I'd be red in the face, I had that RBF issue where you can read what is going on in my world by looking at my face, and that's okay. That woman is stone cold, and in the fact that where she competes, at the level that she is there, the profession is amazing. So anyway, she impresses me, and just by the way that she presents herself 100% of the time, and I'm like, goals right there, goals.
Well, I think she's always been that way, but I want to say that probably Coach Pop had some refining there with her. But I think that it was so important with Becky, because there was times when she was on the sidelines with the Spurs that, she would jump up, and I know we've seen it in the finals some, and she would get in a ref's face. And I think that was something of her personality that I feel like is necessary for coaching, because Tim Duncan tried to be an assistant coach as well. And I just didn't think he had the personality for it. He's just not assertive enough to be a coach. And I think Becky really just is showing the NBA down. Milwaukee, Portland, Orlando, what were you thinking? Boston, which they got a great coach, no knock there, but there was several jobs that she interviewed for, and she was the most qualified candidate, and she didn't receive that job. We all know why she didn't get the job. I'm thankful she didn't get Portland. I feel like it is in Orlando too. I feel like several of those situations could have been dumpster fires, and she would have been the scapegoat, and she would have been out quickly, and then they wouldn't have been looking towards women coaching. And so it needed to be a situation where she was set up to be successful. Going into the W and knowing that there in Vegas, how good the team was before she even got there, the expectations were title or bust, and she came in and got a title. So I felt like she most definitely proved herself, not only to the NBA, but to herself. You went undrafted. You never won a championship as a player. And then you came in and you win your first year as a head coach. Like, just awesome.
What a success story since she came. She was born in Rapid City, South Dakota. Like, how many athletes do you think of come from South Dakota? That's not like a town or a place you would think, Y'all,
and she's 5'6". She's 5'6".
Have you ever driven across South Dakota?
No, ma'am.
It's been years. It's been years since I've
driven across Kansas and Missouri.
Okay, Kansas is almost worse than the lower parts of South Dakota and Wyoming, where you have to. The only entertainment is counting tumbleweeds.
At least in Wyoming, you have mountains.
No, not in the southern part. It's all flat desert-like plains that you count tumbleweeds. Trust and believe.
And so usually the last 5 minutes of the show, we have somebody from Sideline come on and promote their projects. But we have a new project coming out of Three Chicks. So we wanted to do that announcement, especially with Candy being on the show with us. We are going to be doing a spin-off of Three Chicks. Obviously, we couldn't change the name of Three Chicks in a Pod. So we are going to have a spinoff. The new show is going to be called Chicks and Salsa. Shout out to Kari for the name. Such a great name. Very cute. We're going to have it as an open format. It's kind of round table-ish, but very relaxed. Not necessarily going to be serious subjects every single time like we do on here. And looking forward to bringing that to Sideline Sports as well. Candy, congratulations for joining us. Thank you so much for coming on. We really enjoy having you on with us.
I'm so glad I'm so excited to, start this new show with you guys and this new adventure. Can't
wait.
We're excited.
I do want to extend one shout out because I got a couple articles sent to me this week, and I really appreciate that. So anytime you come across something that you feel like Three Chicks or Chicks and Salsa need to hit up, let us know, because we've already got one of those articles queued up for next week. So definitely want to hear that.
And Candy, I have another show tonight. Do you want to do a promo for that real quick?
Yeah, over on South Florida Tribune, we're doing 108 Stitches baseball talk. So we're going to be talking some baseball, and the playoffs are coming up soon, and there's a little baseball topics to talk about. But yeah, if you
unless you're a Rangers fan, we're already at home.
Or a Cubbies fan.
Sorry.
Do I need to mute you again, birthday girl? Because I will.
I just went for the wah-wah.
You know what, Megan? I'm muting her. Candy, I'm muting her. We're done.
Hey, well, and since we're talking baseball real quick, last shout out. The Mets clinched for the first time in 6 years. And 6 years. Coincidentally, that was the last time the Rangers had a winning season. All right, guys, that's the show.
I have to give one shout out too on that note.
And Fraser got his 200th victory.
Okay. What'd you say, Jen?
The Cubs swept the Mets this past week.
Okay.
Okay. Nice.
Apparently, it did not take beating the Cubs to make the playoffs.
No, apparently, it doesn't take a lot to beat the Cubs either.
Sorry.
But
look, we've been out of the running since May. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the show. Make sure you check us out next week. And as soon as we have some dates on the new spinoff show, we will have promos out for that as well. Yes. Thank you guys for commenting, sending articles, sharing the show.
And please subscribe to
Thank you for coming to celebrate my birthday with me. Have a great evening, all.
Have a great evening, you guys.
Good night, y'all.
Happy birthday, Kari.
Thank you.